Assalamu alaikum on this slightly colder Sunday evening, but we're looking forward to what we have on presentation this evening because I often get asked about local material for children. And it's not difficult to search out a very well-known local author who's been doing more than just writing her books, but really creating a love of literacy with various workshops around the country every time a new book is out. And I think this is happening on the regular because local author Lori-Ann Preston, based out in East London, is really, really creating waves with so many of her, different series and books available, which we'll be talking about. Fair Farm is the latest, but she's well known for Thabo the Space Dude series. And I'll give a quick sense of what the author has been available and about. Preston lives with her husband in East London and the best dog in the whole world chapter. She's been writing since she was 8 years old and says that she gets her inspiration from other books, stories, TV, and movies. Clearly a story lover and a storyteller. And talking and watching other people, talking to and watching other people. She has won a Golden Baobab Early Chapter Prize for her book, The Amazings, as well as the South African Writers Circle Award for New Writer of the Year. Other titles of Lori-Ann include the Thabo the Space Dude series, Trixie and Sleuths. Her latest is Fab Farm. Welcome to the show, Lori-Ann. Welcome to BookBytes. It's such a pleasure to have you this evening and to look forward to chatting to you about all these fantastic stories that you've been writing. Welcome to BookBytes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to the next 30 minutes.
So I've really enjoyed the time I had getting through so many of these amazing books. I've got like a whole stash here, including the recipe book, What Do Monsters and Mermaids Munch On, which I thought was absolutely such a fantastic interactive idea. But tell us about where this all began for you. What is it about writing and specifically children's material that's just so engaging, that really gets you going, that gets the creative juices flowing? Talk to us about your process and your motivation.
Well, I guess it all started from as a child. It's always been my passion as a young child to be a teacher and to write. I started writing from a very young age, from the age of 8, cutting pictures out of magazines and making little scrapbooks and things. So it's always kind of been a calling. And my favorite word is dream. So I'm a big dreamer and I'm a big believer in dreaming big. So I went into the teaching profession and I've been an educator. I was an educator for 20 years. I used to own my own educare for 10 years and then taught grade R and mostly grade R and grade 2. And so I've always had an absolute love for children, teaching children, and having been a teacher for so many years, you can imagine the amount of stories I've read, especially the younger age group, because obviously you read a few stories every single day to finish the day off. And that's kind of where it all started. I was just like, it's always just been an absolute passion of mine to read and to write and to write for children. I guess that's all where it began. And then the process of writing, well, I don't really have a set process of writing. Every day is kind of a surprise. I wake up in the morning and the best time for me to write is in the morning. That's when my mind is the most alert and I've got a lot of energy to get going. But I'm okay with distractions. I can take a phone call. I can get up. I can walk the dog. That's not a problem. And I try and laugh a lot when I write. Well, I do laugh a lot when I write because for me, it's an enjoyable process, an enjoyable experience. At the moment, I actually have my very first deadline as a writer because normally I've just kind of, not put myself under too much pressure. And if I want to write 300 words, 300 words. If I want to write, 800 words, 800 words. But now I've got this deadline. So it's been fantastic. I've enjoyed the challenge.
That sounds great. I think sometimes we work better under pressure. You said you were an educator and then you started developing these stories as you were already presenting material to your young kids. Did you experience a gap perhaps? Did you feel like there was a gap or was it just an organic, like I've got the story to share?
So, I've always try to think of an idea. I've always wanted to write a story over the years, but I've never ever like been able to come up with a concept or a good idea. And so I've never really, when I was younger in my 20s, 30s, I could, and then I wish somebody had told me earlier that there actually are no original ideas, that it's just your own voice and your own style. That would help me a lot when I tried to think of something like original and completely unique. Um, and then I found when I was actually teaching my grade 2 class, I was reading Horrid Henry to the class and Roald Dahl. And that's when I had this thought that I would love to read a chapter book to my class written by a local author, South African author, and couldn't. I went to the bookstore and I actually couldn't find a chapter book that I was what I was looking for, fun and what they would really enjoy, adventure. And when I did a Google search then to see if I could buy something from any, country in Africa to order in for my class, that's when I came across the writing competition. And I thought, oh, you know what? Let me try into this competition. And I asked my class what I should write. And they said, ma'am, just make sure it's funny. They wanted humor and they wanted a good adventure. And that's when I wrote The Amazings and entered it. And I was very, very, very lucky because I won. And winning that,
Yes.
and that kind of gave me the confidence to see if, hey, I wonder if I can maybe pursue this a little further. So yeah, that's how it all came about.
So that was that Golden Baobab Prize, which is amazing, and maybe just the boost you needed
Exactly.
to bring out all these amazing stories.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, I will say, as a writer, you've got to be persistent and you've got to keep writing and keep trying, because in the beginning, I mean, I won the Amazing Prize, but then I went on and I wrote Thabo the Space Dude, and from writing that, I wanted to try and be traditionally published, and submitted it all over, submitted to Australia, submitted to England. I just like Googled and searched and sent all over. And it just, I couldn't find anyone to take the story on. And I thought, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to give up on my dream here. Let me see what else I can do. And that's when I decided to self-publish. So I started off self-publishing and got hold of a company in Cape Town called Quick Fox Publishing, and flew down to Cape Town and met, and I said, let's just go for it.
Right.
But I will add that, I had a market. So having been a teacher for so many years and taught at different schools, and I think that's one of the things as well. If you are going to self-publish, I mean, go for it. Everyone, I can highly recommend, writing, publishing your own book. But I was lucky in the sense that I already could go to the school that I had been teaching at, and other schools, and so it was a good way
And
to
test
get.
your stories. Right. I mean, I really liked your style of writing Thabo the Space Dude, and now you've got a series, right? I was fascinated because you're writing in this logbook style, so you're getting a sense of being inside the head of your character, what a child experiences in that way. But the fantasy part was really cool because now Thabo and his family are leaving Earth, right?
Yes.
So that's very exciting. The idea that you can stretch your reader's imagination, children's imagination through local fiction. I mean, well done on that. You've done it so successfully. Talk to us, about this process of writing these logbooks for Thabo the Space Dude.
So, obviously when I wanted to venture, as I said, I have read many, many stories, but I also made sure to read what was very current in the writing world. What are the children wanting to read? What are the bestsellers? What is providing the entertainment for the children that are making them read the books? And I definitely find that for the age group I write for, the children like a series. They like the stories to carry on. They like to read the whole Diary of a Wimpy Kid. They enjoy a series. So I thought, okay, that was the plan, to try and write a series. And well, I'm a massive science fiction fan, and I absolutely love Star Wars. So for me, Thabo was a no-brainer. It had to be about space. I mean, I've got two brothers and we grew up on Star Wars. And And then I just also, once again, did a Google search to see what was current in the space world. And well, there are plans for humans to move to Mars one day, that even started selecting people to move to Mars. So I just did more and more research on this. And I thought, hey, why not let the first family to move to Mars be from South Africa and be
Sure.
Thabo's family? Why not? And yeah, and then I just, yeah, I suppose it's first person narration. The idea of a diary. When I was, I wish I'd started younger, but I can actually highly recommend that children do this. Start keeping a diary from a young age. I started keeping a diary from the age of 12 myself, and I've still got the diaries. And it's they're fun things to do, and it's fun things to look back on and read my diaries, and I read my entries and what I was interested in those days. So yeah, I was always a big diary keeper from the age of 12. So that's kind of where my thought process was with Tabor.
I think journaling is such a great way to build your writer's muscle, even though you don't realize it at the time. So I think it's a wonderful way. Even I think, as advice to future writers, just get a pen out and write, and write without thinking. Sometimes that's such a great way to just get inside your own head, I suppose. Put it all down there. So I really enjoyed the Thabo series, Thabo the Space Dude, and I think you have many more miles to go with this series. There's no doubt about it. Can we expect another a part for Thabo the Space Dude?
So I have written Table a logbook 4. I've finished it. And Table 4 I've actually written as the last book in the series. And I have spoken to my editor. But, there are other things and on the horizon. So
On the back
Table
burner.
is ready to go, but obviously there's a budget for the publication of only so many books every year, and we've kind
Right.
of already set what we're doing for next year. So possibly maybe a logbook 4 in 2026. Yeah, it is written,
Fantastic.
edited, it's good to go, but yeah,
It's waiting in the queue.
yes, it's there.
So you've got Sleuths, which is a great adventure series. You've got Trixie. I know I saw you've got another Trixie out as well. Great illustrations, engaging stories, adventure. I mean, I remember growing up with Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys and Famous Five and reading all of these different things. So it's so great to see local material that looks really, really delicious to be able to go through. Tell us about some of these other stories, especially like Sleuths and Trixie, before we get to the new Fab Farm.
So for Sleuths, my thinking with Sleuths was exactly what you just said, the Famous Five. I mean, that's what we grew up reading. And I was
Right.
thinking, well, I definitely wanted to do a detective squad, but where could they go on an adventure and go exploring and solve cases where it was safe? Because they can't just go wandering around all over freely. And I actually live in a complex in East London. So I thought, oh, wow, this is actually perfect, the perfect setting. So it is a gated community. We have a big wall all the way around, and the children can wander, the older children can wander around freely. There's a big lake in the middle of it. And we also have dassies, and even the cat in the book, one of my friends who's a neighbor here, her cat is called Puppet. Well, actually, her dog is called Puppet. So I had all that inspiration right around me for Sleuths. So that was how Sleuths came about. And then, yeah, you mentioned the recipe book. The recipe, whoops, there we go. This was my lockdown project. So in
Okay.
lockdown, I got my mom's recipe book out. Well, she had a big recipe. All her recipes were handwritten on cards. And we did a lot of baking together as when I was a child. And so I thought, okay, you know what? Let me try all these recipes. And I was cooking for my husband because he's the only one who could eat it at that time. And he was like, "Yo, these are good." And I'm like, "I know." So I was like, "Wow!" And really easy, simple recipes. I didn't want to do a recipe book for children where it would be like, put two Smarties on a Murray biscuit and build a face. I wanted it to be proper cooking, proper recipes to follow. And
Right.
and then I still also incorporated it as a bit of a story. The little, like, I thought, oh, well, what would a unicorn love to eat? Okay, a unicorn would love to eat cupcakes. And, what would a dragon love to eat? A dragon would love to eat fricadelles. And yeah, and pitched it to my editor, and she was on board. So we went ahead. Good.
I thought it was really cute because it's also very empowering. Aside from it being really entertaining, I'm looking now at the boopy banana bread, choc chip chocolate crunchies. But I mean, aside from the story, it's empowering for them to have something in their hands, a recipe book that is both fun, engaging, but that they can actually get a hands-on way of, oh, I actually made this. I find that now when I look at my nieces and nephews, wanting to also get involved and make things that they can eat and share with everyone. So I thought this was really wonderful. It's so delightful, actually, that you came up with What Do Monsters and Mermaids Munch on Us. Beautiful, beautiful project. So congratulations on that. And clearly you had fun doing it.
I had fun. The only stressful part was I had to go to Cape Town and I had to cook 14 recipes for the photo shoot. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious me. um, so, but everything went well, thank goodness. And
Well, now I'm thinking, who got to eat all those recipes? Did you have a party afterwards?
well, in fact, the timing, my dad had actually had it up in Cape Town. So my dad was in Cape
Oh,
Town and my stepmom, and then my daughter lives in Cape Town. My daughter's turning 30 this year, and her boyfriend. So yeah, everyone came around. We were like, okay, and my husband was down. So yeah, we all, and then of course the team from Lapa Publishers came across as well. So we
it
all
was a
dug in.
real celebration. I think when there's food, there's always celebration.
Yeah.
So finally, we have Fab Farm.
Yes.
So for now, this is the latest. I know that there are more that we can look forward to. I enjoyed Fab Farm. Got a gaggle of geese. I love this. Welcome to Dee Dee's Fabulous Farm. Got a gaggle of geese that need a good home. Is your pet mouse eating all your cheese? Does Grumpy Cat meow too loudly? Look no further. Dee Dee's back garden is open for any and all animals in need. This whole consciousness of a child thinking, what if I could, capture and keep all these animals and look after them myself is so heartwarming. I think so many children dream of the possibility, and the idea that your stories give this stretch of what is possible is really, really beautiful. I think you've captured that in Fab Farm. Talk to us about this story.
Okay. So well, Fab Farm came around. The idea sort of came to life. You're always trying to think of new ideas. So different things inspire you. That's a question I get asked by the children every time I visit the schools. It's a very popular question. Where do you get your inspiration from? And it really can be from absolutely anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
other TV. And as a child, we always had a lot of pets. My dad even had a pet. Well, he claims he had a pet crab, but he did. He had this crab in the garden that he would feed breadcrumbs to. My cousin, she lived on a farm and then moved into town in Queenstown, and with a big back garden. And I went to visit her, and I was like, "Oh, you've just moved the farm to your back garden." And
Right.
so they she said, well, the children love the farm, and just, we've got to have the farm here. They're at school now, and she's a teacher there. And there was the chicken hook, and the chickens were out in free range all over the back garden. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it's the dog, and then they had a fish tank, and I was like, oh, this is just fantastic. So I thought, okay, this is a great idea now to start a back farm. Yeah, and the character just grew on me. I must say, I wish I was more of a plotter when it comes to writing stories. I have tried, but I think the term is a pantser. So I tend to just dive in, and I immediately just dive in with some action, with some dialogue, and just like straight away get going with my stories. I do kind of always know how they're going to end, though. I do know how, you know, but every day that I write, it's like, oh, okay, it's going there. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think as I'm writing more and more and getting more experienced as a writer, I am now tending to plot a bit more. But I think that's just coming from maybe the experience of writing. Yeah.
So sometimes the story does tend to get ahead of you.
Oh,
I feel.
yes, it definitely does. And that's where you have editors. Because oftentimes, I mean, Fab Farm had quite quite a few more chapters in it, and then when I got it back from the editor, she was like, "Okay, I think we can take this whole chapter out and this whole section out." And I was like, "What? No! What are you doing? You're taking out there were more animals." But she was like, "No, I think it's a bit too many animals now." So yeah, I mean,
I want to pay tribute to all the wonderful editors we get to work with as writers, because I think that they really shape and form for us as well, a very important part of the process. As much as they kill our darlings along the way, it's important shaping and pruning that happens.
oh yes, 100%. I mean, all of I actually have my books all initially edited by Michelle. She actually lives in England now. She is South African though, and she has a first quick edit and professional edit. She's brilliant, and will have a quick read through and tell me also, where there are gaps in a story. And she's brilliant at making sure the story flows. And I think that's very, very important that your story has a good flow to it. And then obviously the team at LAPA as well have proofreaders and editors, and so the books go through quite a few eyes before they get onto the shelf. So yeah, they're at their
And
very
you've got some amazing illustrators that you work with as well. I think that is what really gives light. The packaging gives light to the story. Obviously, your illustrations follow through inside the book as well. So I was really quite impressed with the quality as well as the output and the content that goes with it. I mean, this is world standard, clearly.
Thank you. Well, it's all thanks to LAPA Publishers. Obviously, I've never met any of my illustrators. So all of the illustrators from these books I haven't met. I've chatted to a few online and sent messages and said, "Wow, you did a fantastic job." And but yeah, my editor is very good at teaming up my what's it called? Manuscript, pairing my manuscript with an illustrator. So just a tip for illustrators out there, it's so important that you do have a website and a portfolio. So, if editors and publishing houses are looking for illustrators, they're going to look online and obviously want to see your portfolio. So definitely say get that up and going.
That's really great advice, because I was thinking about how these collaborations happen. And like with an editor, you want someone who's able to clean up while retaining the writer's voice. And the same with the illustrator, to put that vision onto the page in words and in visuals has to sort of gel. And do you find that, what you've been thinking when you're writing actually makes sense when you see it in the visual form?
I mean, I honestly am totally blown away with the standard that I see from the illustrators. What I do with my manuscripts is I actually insert my own little, I'm going to an example to show you now, my own little stick figures in with the manuscript when I submit it. So when my editor is reading it, and I think they also pass it on to the illustrator so they can kind of see, I'll draw like a little character do a cartwheel or whatever, or something this, so they can kind of see my vision as well. I can't draw to save my life, but I insert illustrations throughout my manuscript when I submit them. And then, yeah, I'm absolutely, this is just incredible. Such amazing talent with Trixie and all of them, all the books. Just like fantastic. I'm always like thrilled to bits. I do have a little bit of say. I think with Thabo, most of the time it's 100% spot on. But if there is a little bit of tweaking, I think with Thabo too, I wanted my Martians to look a little edgier. So I said, yeah. So I wanted them to look a little cooler. I think little cooler. That was my
I
one
mean,
comment.
these are so
Yes,
exciting to look at.
yeah. So, oops, there we go.
Mhm.
I've got where are they? They're very cool looking Martians.
Oh, there
Yeah,
we go. There we go. They
yeah,
look like they're dancing.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it's an exciting process. I must say there is so much to learn. I mean, I've been now writing for, this is my 7th year that I've been published, and I am still learning. It is there is so much to learn about this industry. I'm sure you know yourself. Um, yeah, it's a lot, and it's hard work.
I think when you enjoy what you're doing, which you clearly do, then it shows in the final product because many readers will be gaining joy from this, not just young readers. Like I said, I went through this. For me, Thabo the Space Dude was enjoyable as an older reader because you're going into the, you're trying to, you're reading this logbook and you're experiencing the mind of this preteen who's having to move because so many of our kids are moving cities and towns and schools and having to leave behind first crushes and friends and familiarity. And now this is a stretch onto like another planet. And so I think there's so many kids who would identify with this just in terms of that and saying, oh, I wonder what it would be like to live on another planet or to go to the moon or to go to Mars. So really, really fantastic work on that. And I look forward to seeing more to come from your pen. It's been wonderful having this experience chatting to you. I really, really look forward to what's coming up in the months and the years ahead.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you on all your work as well. I love your writing, absolutely love it. Just as a little shout out to you, this was my afternoon
Oh,
read. Absolutely loved it.
thank you so much, Lori. It was wonderful chatting to you. And
Pleasure.
I'm sure that readers and audiences on Salam Media are going to enjoy looking out for more of your works. I know we can get them online through various book sites, but from you as well if they want. I know my readers love signed copies. So I'm sure they can find you on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, because you're very active. Where else can we find your books?
Everywhere.
I love the confidence.
Yeah, just ask.
No, I think
Thank you.
access is really important.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview me, and it's been lovely. I felt relaxed. I didn't feel too stressed out. So I really appreciate it.
I'm really glad. I'm really glad to hear that. I also feel that, aside from writing, I know that you're doing workshops and that you really create a culture of literacy in the communities that you work with, in the schools that you work with, taking the stories to the children. So I want to wish you everything of the best with your journey. I know that there's much more energy to follow with this. And I'm glad that we got you at a time where, this is sort of like maybe the middle, and you will catapult further into much more work from here. So fantastic work. Well done once again. And we do wish you everything of the best on your journey.
Thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. Have a lovely evening.
Same to you, Laurie. Thanks once again. And so there you have it. We spoke to local author Lori-Ann Preston about this fantastic work that she's been doing. If you want local material and you want to identify with these amazing adventure stories, Thabo the Space Dude series, Fab Farm for younger readers who enjoy animals, the adventure series Sleuths, the Trixie series, and this wonderful, wonderful recipe book for monsters and mermaids where you can make all kinds of wonderful recipes. Please do look out for Lori-Ann Preston's work. And that's it from me this weekend from BookBytes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.